Elaine here. countryhomeandheart.net is my website. And tonight I'm going to be making some pork schnitzel for our dinner. This is a recipe that my husband's grandmother used to do. We used to call her Nanny. And Nanny used to make this dish quite often. And she taught me how to make this years ago when I was very, very young. In fact, I think I only had one of my daughters at the time who was a baby. I was so young. But anyway, we have always enjoyed this schnitzel a lot. And it's a little different in that it uses cornflake crumbs instead of breadcrumbs, but it really makes this absolutely delicious. So I'm going to turn you down so you can see. Okay, and what I have here is just a little bit under 1.5 pounds of pork chops. They're boneless pork chops. Now, if they had the bone, you'd need to cut the bone out of it, and you'd also need to trim any visible signs of fat. Now, these pork chops are about 1/2 inch thick, and I typically like them thinner than that, but we're going to be using a meat mallet on these, and I'm going to pound these out the way that I want them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this off camera because it's pretty noisy, and rather than aggravate y'all with that noise, we're going to go ahead and do this off camera. So I will be back with you just as soon as I get these pounded out, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, I'm back, and I have all these pounded out. Let me pick one up, and I'm going to show you. See about how thin I got those, maybe down to about 1/4 inch now from where they were. But they're also, pounding them out like that makes them very large. So what I'm going to do is cut these in half. So let me turn you down here so you can see. You see how large these have gotten. There's my hand in comparison. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my kitchen scissors and I'm just going to cut these right in half. So our pieces are going to be about this big instead of as huge as these big ones are. So, okay, so let's just trim these up, cut them right in half. Just like that. Alright. Okay, now that I have these cut, let me get my salt shaker. And what I'm going to do is just sprinkle them with some salt. And rub that salt down into them really good. And I'm going to do the other side, just like to make sure that they're seasoned well. I'm not going to put a lot more. There we go. Okay. Okay, and so now that I've got that done, I'm going to be back in just a moment, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, I'm back, and we're ready to go on with our schnitzel. So let me turn you down again where you can see. Okay, and I have spread out a piece of waxed paper. And what I'm going to do is just take my pieces of pork, and I'm just going to kind of dredge them in a little bit of flour. Not much, but just, you know, enough to coat them a little bit. Okay. And so I'm just going to use a spoon and just spoon a little bit of flour on these and just get these dredged real good. And it seems to really help these become really crispy when we're frying them. And they're crispy anyway because of those cornflake crumbs, but I really like to do this just to help out. Okay. Alright, just got a couple more pieces to do. Now there's going to be enough here that we'll be able to eat these tonight and then probably have them for lunch again tomorrow. So there's going to be plenty left. Pounding them out like that does that because it, like I say, it makes the pieces really, really big and kind of tends to stretch it out a little bit. So, okay, and there's my pieces dredged in the flour. Let me just move them over here. Now I'm going to take, in this bowl I have just about a cup of milk that I have beaten an egg into. And then here I have about a cup and a half of cornflake crumbs. Now I did these cornflake crumbs in my little Wolfgang Puck food processor that I have, but you can buy the crumbs already done if you want, but I like these because they're a little bit more coarse. The ones that you buy are pretty fine, and I like these a little bit more coarse because they tend to make it more crispy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dip that in the milk and egg mixture, and then we're going to roll it in our crumbs. Okay, and I'm just going to set that aside, and we'll do another one. Just like that. Alright, and I'm going to keep going with that until I get all of these done. So what I'm going to do is, let me rinse my fingers off. Okay, and when I get all these done, I'm going to move you over to the stove, and we'll start getting these fried up. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back, and I have got this started frying. You probably hear my pan, so let me turn this down so you can see. Bring that a little closer. Okay. So I've got my green beans over here in another pot that I'm fixing, and something is on the burner smoking. I see that. Okay. Anyway. So, and I've already started some over here cooling, so let me turn you around here and I'll show you. Right there. Okay, the one I have out cooling, you see what I'm doing is I have a piece of wax paper and I have a rack up here, and I'm actually letting it cool on the rack, because when you let it cool on the rack, it usually doesn't come out as soggy as like when you let them drain on a paper towel. So we're going to go ahead and put those on a rack, and see, it looks like these are about done. Getting pretty close. And I'll turn this one over. Okay. The Schnitzel actually has become a Christmas tradition. When my kids were all home and our kids were growing up, every Christmas Eve that was our dinner. I always made Schnitzel, and then we had a few other things for the holiday that we had along with that. But my children always enjoyed that Schnitzel really well, and to this day they still make it with their kids. So it's kind of cool that it did evolve into a tradition like that. But okay, so these are coming pretty well, and I might have to turn my heat up just a little bit more. I turned it down because I thought it was up too high a minute ago. But okay, and we're going to have in this pot, I have some green beans that we're going to have with this, and I also have some macaroni and cheese, baked macaroni and cheese that I made the other night that I'm going to reheat some of that to go with it. And over here in this pot, right here, that's actually some liver for my dogs that I'm going to mix into their dog food with their dinner. And they know it's there, so they've been kind of bugging me a little bit. So, okay, and so it looks like this piece is done, so I'm going to go ahead and put it over here. And let's put another piece in its place. Right there. Alright. Okay, so bring you back a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to finish cooking these, and when I have everything all ready and I'm ready to plate it up, I will be right back with you. Okay, I'm back and our schnitzel is all ready. And let me just turn you down here so you can see. This plate is my husband's plate. I gave him 2 pieces of schnitzel, and there's the macaroni and cheese that I made the other night. That recipe is from 1941. That's a vintage macaroni and cheese recipe, and it was very good. So I will be doing a video on that sometime in the future. And then he's got some green beans, and then here's my plate. I have a piece of schnitzel, if I can say it, and also have some of the macaroni and cheese and some green beans. And we are going to get ready to eat here. So I do thank you for watching, and I'm going to be listing the recipe ingredients below and the instructions. And if you found this video helpful and you enjoyed watching it, please hit like and subscribe, and that way you'll be able to see more videos as I put them on. And I'm just going to turn you around for just a second and show you again. That is the way that I drain these off, because when you put them in paper towels, they tend to get soggy, and I don't like that. So I like them to stay nice and crisp, and they do. And you can see there is definitely going to be enough there for us to have tomorrow as well. So fly in here. Okay, so anyway, again, I thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.